Hey everyone, Sire here. I am working on my second card using Scrapping for Less's September 2020 card kit. It is a little delayed, but that's just the way it seems to work for me. Um, I am working with collection number 2, and it features this absolutely adorable gnome. I would say more like a fall gnome, just with the apple and the little stitching. Kind of reminds me of a scarecrow stitch patchwork. Um, and so yeah, so collection number 2, and I decided that I would stamp this with some VersaFine black nocturnal ink and then heat set it. It's just what I like to do. I find that when I heat set it, you get the nice glossy and really bold black outcome. And then also when I'm coloring, I don't smudge the ink because I just don't have the patience to wait. So I am coloring with my Prismacolor pencils, um, and I'm not actually picking any particular, any particular color at the beginning. I'm kind of just picking a pencil crayon as I go along. Um, I was trying to follow the color scheme of the pattern paper in the collection, and so these greens are the ones that I did pick, and they are Kelly green and dark green. Um, I do believe I bring in an even darker green, but I don't remember what color that is. But I'm just trying to create some basic shading. I'm still practicing, still learning, watching a lot of people do their coloring and just learning as I go along. So I did speed up this video quite a lot, just so that it would just so that I could actually keep the coloring in if you're interested and not take up too much time. Um, the colors that I did for the band across the hat, that is putty beige, beige sienna, and sepia. So sepia would be the darker color. Putty beige is the center. And then for the apple, I'm using a combination of crimson red, poppy red, and crimson lake. And raspberry actually for the even darkest shade, which I don't know if you really see it that much. But I really enjoy just playing around with shading. It's just to see what you can create and trying different colors. Like I don't tend to pick colors that look very similar when I'm shading. I just find it more fun to see which blend well. And so I will just actually, I have a color chart of my pencil crayons, and I just look at it and I kind of see how it looks based on the color, my lightest color that I picked. And so that's how I like to do it. And that's the finished product right there. And I'm pretty happy with it. I could improve my shading, definitely, but I'm definitely happy with it. So I did fussy cut him out, and I will add him to the card later. This pattern paper, I was going to do something different, but then as I was thinking about it, these reminded me of toadstool. I think toadstool and mushrooms are two different things, but I feel like calling them toadstool mushrooms. So I honestly don't know. I think they are two separate things, but it just seems weird just to call it a toadstool. It seems like an incomplete word. But yes, the toadstool with the red and white top. And so I decided I would cut out a big one and a small one, and then I plan on propping up my little gnome on top of it. So pretty much at this point, I am just winging it. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just trimming paper away and just moving a step forward every single time. And normally that doesn't work for me. Normally I get overwhelmed if it's too many steps. Like if I have no clue what I'm doing and I'm trying to think of it too far ahead. So in this case, what I did was I just kept calming myself down and telling myself, start with this. What does it look like? And then if it looks okay, go to the next step. So my first step was cut the tops of the toadstools. And I was happy with those. I did a little bit of a wave on the bottom, very subtle, And then once that was done, I said, okay, let's try to get a base of these. Whether I use it or not, let's try to get a base. And so I got a piece of white scrap paper and took the antique linen distress ink. I find that is a perfect mushroom color. It's so light and that brown, it just looks really creamy and it's just delicious. Of course, don't eat toadstools. I'm pretty sure they're poisonous, but nonetheless, it's a delicious color for mushrooms. And so I inked up that piece of white paper. I cut out a stem, just cutting it freestyle, and then I tinted the edges with vintage photo. I actually love that color. And so it worked really well just to give it a little more textured style dimension. Next step is I want to have it so that the mushroom doesn't look too flat. So I have a stem and I have the cap, but there is actually an in-between piece that goes between the top and the stem, and that's usually based on how you're looking at it. You see the white or the brown or whatever color it is underneath slightly. So after I cut these two stems off, I will and finish inking them, I will start cutting up that third piece, which I will use the rest of the scraps for. And so these are all the little steps that I take to help me not get overwhelmed. Because if I try to say I want to make toadstools with this paper, I'd probably get overwhelmed and not do it just because there's too many steps. For some reason, my brain can't handle it, and I get way overwhelmed, so I have to break it down into individual steps. So here we go. I've already colored it again, or maybe I didn't color it again, but I might. And that's the piece that, sorry I'm off camera, but that's the piece I'm going to put underneath the mushroom very slightly. The glue I will use is Simon Says Tacky Glue. I love this glue for these small details. It's not very runny, it's thick, and it just works really well, especially for small pieces and embellishments. I'm going to trim off the sides and then kind of round it so it's not perfectly lined up with the ends. So there should be a little bit of a gap on either side of the top. And once again, I'm really sorry I'm off camera. I thought I figured this out, but I guess I didn't. So I'm definitely off camera again. But there we go. I just glued the two pieces on, put the stem behind it all, and that is my toadstool. And really enjoyed it. I think I was busy talking, but I think that I also added a little bit of just vintage photo to the top of the mushroom. But because the red's so dark, I don't think you can see it very well. But I did do that around the tops. I probably would have done a little bit more just so because kind of you don't want to create a little bit of more definition and detail. You don't want the whole mushroom cap to look like a solid image because that makes it flat. So I could have used a little bit more ink. Regardless, I'm very happy with them. They're really adorable. So now I'm working on the bigger one and I'm doing the same thing. I'm just trimming off so that it doesn't go flush with the ends because you just want a little bit of difference. And then taking that vintage photo and just highlighting the tips of it, or the base. Not the base, the edge. I didn't really like the shape of this mushroom for this cap, so I'm just going to give it a little curve. I just find that mushrooms look good with a little curve in their stem. And then I'm just going to fix that up because I cut it. I need to put that ink back on, the vintage photo, and then I'm going to glue it down with that tacky glue from Simon Says. And there are my two toadstools. Very simple, actually. Now that I know how to do it, I won't have any problems. I can think in advance. I can say, you know what, I want toadstools. I know how to do it. So once you do it once and it goes smoothly, you have the confidence and you won't get overwhelmed, at least for me. So if you feel that way too, that helps. I decided next I want to play with some oxides and, well, inks as well, but I want to make some backgrounds. People make amazing backgrounds. I'm on Instagram now, and I'm just blown away by you talented people. Like, my goodness, I don't know. I have no words for what I see. So I got inspired to create one too, and I don't have many colors, so I just have to use what I have available. And so I use the antique linen, mahogany, I think it's called, and candy apple red, aged mahogany, sorry. And those are the colors. And I really like these colors. They look really cool. And what I've kind of visualized in my head is that the ground kind of looks like leaves, like red fall leaves. The center is where it's getting into the thick forest, and then there's your kind of grayish sky, fall or autumn sky, getting dusk. That's how I visually see it, just because it's so wispy and cloudy, and it's not a solid color, and the little specks of water kind of give that effect of like foliage and pebbles and whatever little things you find on the ground. So that little piece, that burgundy colored piece there, that's actually foam. I just happen to have a color that looked very similar to aged mahogany. So I cut that up to be very similar size so I can prop up the whole thing. I don't know if I need to do this, but I did add some liquid glue to give it some extra strength. I just don't have confidence that it's sticky enough. I'm sure that's overkill, to be honest, but it's better safe than sorry. And then I'm going to put some double-sided tape on the other side so that I can now stick this to the base of the card. The base of the card is, of course, an A2 size, so that's 4¼ by 5½. And I will add some more glue to this once again, just because I don't know how well this will stick with just double-sided tape. So in between, I'll just add some liquid glue. And then I'll prop that right in the center. And I absolutely love this background. Very simple, very easy to do, but the colors just worked really well. Actually, when I was thinking of this card, I was going to do a landscape style, but when I did the inks, I went ahead and did it without thinking, and I did it a portrait style. So now I have to trim my mushrooms to fit the card. That was not planned. So I was a little disheartened because I had to cut my mushrooms that I worked on. I was so proud of, but that's okay. That's just how this is how card making goes. If you don't pre-plan and you just go on a whim, you have to be willing to accept the unexpected or the mistakes and all that, so you just keep moving forward. So I trim the bottoms so that they go flush right down to my background, still leaving that 1/4 inch border around the whole design. And when I put the big one down, I'm going to have it overlap both sides. So the little one overlaps the stem, but the big one overlaps the small mushroom. I really like that double overlapping. It's kind of cool. And here we go. Cut my poor mushroom. My toadstool, sorry. Okay. Next, I'm going to prop up my little gnome. And I will prop him up with some foam squares. I just want some more dimension. Only because the mushrooms take up most of the card, that I don't want it to be flat with the mushrooms. I want it to be up, again, away from the mushrooms, or the toadstools. I don't think I'm ever going to get that right. Yeah, I just want it to not be so flush. This will create a separation, so that's what I'll do. The only problem with this is if you were to mail this, you're now getting into a thicker card that's going to cost more to ship. But if you're just mailing this or giving this to someone in person, not a problem. It will fit in an envelope. So there we go. Really cute. I'm really liking this. Next, I will work on my sentiment, and I did remember to use my anti-static pouch. I always forget, but this time I actually remembered, so I was very happy with myself. I'm like on a roll here with everything working out. Now here's an interesting thing. I did not stamp that fully, and so I tried to read. I was thinking about redoing it, and I said, no, I won't. I won't do that because I don't want to go this far and make a mistake. So what I did is I took a black gel pen after, because it was really bothering me. I took a black gel pen and I completed the second P, because it was not fully inked. And then I put the distress or the embossing powder over the top of that, and it actually stuck. So when I heat set it, you cannot tell that there is a gel pen that was used. I was blown away. I didn't realize that you could do that. I'm now taking a weight gel pen to add some stars and little speckles all over the place, just to give it a little more fun to the card. Kind of ruins the whole "those are trees," but that's okay. I was getting carried away. I really like the little weight stars. In the kit, there are these beautiful brown or tan enamel dots, so I am putting those on to spread across the stems just for some texture. And that's it. That's the card. That's my Happy Fall card, using the contents from collection number 2. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it created some inspiration for you to get your kits out or create any fall-inspired cards. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this, I would love for you to subscribe, so you can know when future videos come out. So until then, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.